You remember the feeling, don't you? The feeling that you're being watched, that if you make the slightest movement, you're dead. Everybody had that fear as a child. You wake up in the night, can't get back to sleep, shuffling back and forth from one uncomfortable position to the next, hoping to find a way to suddenly slumber. You give up. There's no way you're going back to sleep at any time. So you simply turn on your side, stare out the window. The road, the lights, the trees all seem so strange under the cover of night. You try to keep your mind quiet of any distractions, remembering that you still need to sleep. And that's when the feeling hits you. The feeling swarms over you like a nice cold blanket that has just been spread across your back. You remember that it's night, and that night is when fears like to hunt. You feel almost as if you're being watched from behind you. You can't see it, but its eyes are trained on you. You want to move, but you can't. If you do, something bad, no, something horribly wrong is going to happen to you. The only thing you can do is remain quiet and still, and then it won't notice you. As you lie on your bed, frozen in fear, you begin to think about your bed sheets. If only you could quickly grab your bed sheets and throw them over yourself to hide your body from whatever evil monstrosity stands behind you. It could be done, perhaps. If you are fast and precise, you could succeed. You decide to think no longer. You flip yourself up and grab your bed sheets with both hands. Without looking around your room, you sweat back down, covering yourself with a thick blanket. Safety. It is then that your mind comes back to you and you remind yourself that there is nothing there. Darkness clouds your mind and causes it to hallucinate, but the only limitations behind being your imagination. You slowly poke your head out of the sheets and scan your eyes around the room. Nothing. You place your head back on the pillow and slowly drift off to sleep. This is every child's fear, and parents always tell their children to go back to sleep and that it's good for them to work through their fears. They're wrong. Because Halloween is by far my favorite time of year. The one wonderful day where walking around with a mask is socially acceptable. Masks hold quite a unique place in society. A mask can transform anyone into something else, turn an actor into a character, hide the secret identity of a superhero, or even allow monsters to walk among men. You never know what's behind a mask until it's taken off, but that's the best part of Halloween. No one is going to take off anyone's mask. There is no gang of teenagers with their talking dog there to strip away my disguise and reveal the truth underneath. No, this is reality, and on Halloween I'm perfectly able to hide in plain sight. Of course, wearing a mask has its own special meaning for me. I'm not an actor, superhero, or even a monster, not in the fictional term at least. No, I simply use a mask as a means of entry. Any mask works, really, so long as it covers my face. I manage to use a different one every year. All I need to do is walk the streets of my suburban neighborhood, weave my way through various decorations, and dodge packs of trick-or-treaters until I hear the familiar blaring of loud music. Like a sailor to a siren at sea, I'm drawn to the music, to the party that it emanates from. Yes, this is why Halloween is wonderful. No one seems to even ask questions at the door to a Halloween party. All I really need to do is knock and wave when the door opens. The masks makes people assume I'm there for the party. Hell, sometimes people just leave their front doors wide open, allowing even easier access to their home. On Halloween, no one gives a second glance towards a masked man making his way through their midst, which is what makes my hobby oh so fun. They're completely oblivious as I approach their food. They continue to chatter and gossip as I add my own special ingredient to their bowl of punch. They continue to dance and play as I stab small, sharp needles into their chocolates and sweets. It isn't not until their first friend drops to the floor, either choking on my poison or coughing up bloody needles, that people start to panic. It is the same every year. As soon as I leave the party and hear the chaos rising behind me, an unstoppable grin forms under my mask. Screams of terror are such a pleasant noise for such a pleasant holiday. This week, I moved into a new house. The house itself is lovely, with 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a fenced-in backyard, and a big kitchen. The tree in the front yard is tall and strong and does a fine job of blocking my living room windows from the street. The water pressure is fabulous, the closets are large, and the wood floors are new. The only problem I've had so far is that my neighbors are rather loud. Our houses connect on one side, so we share a living room, bedroom, and kitchen wall. All day long I can hear them banging around their kitchen, watching loud movies, talking, and their small child crying. It's a bit trying, but nothing I can't live with, I suppose. Now I get directly to the thing that really concerns me. It started when I was in the shower this morning. I usually like to have music playing while I shower, but today I decided I'd rather just enjoy the silence. The activity was fairly uneventful until, as I was in the middle of washing my hair, I heard my neighbors talking from the other side of the wall. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but it sounded strange to me. It seemed that they were mumbling something, whispering and occasionally laughing quietly, but I couldn't figure out how I could hear them if they were evidently speaking quietly. I thought that they must be standing absurdly close to their side of the wall in order to be so audible in the midst of my shower. I didn't think too much of this incident until I was leaving for work an hour later. As I started to open my car door, I turned back to the house, feeling like I'd forgotten something. As I looked up at my bedroom window, I realized that the neighbor's house shares a wall on the opposite side of the house from the bedroom. On the other side of the bathroom lies my bedroom closet. My father's footsteps ringing distant from the hall was my lullaby when I was younger. In the dead of night, when my back was turned to the door, I would hear the familiar padding of his white and gray socks colliding with the hardwood floor outside my room. The door would open, and a thin cascade of golden light, streaming from where he'd come, would land across my bed. The sound of his footsteps would become softer now, muffled by the plush white carpeting settled along the ground, and upon my forehead his hand would gently push my bangs away, and his cold lips would press tenderly to my skin. He had always had poor circulation in the hot summer evenings I spent holed up in my covers. It was rather nice to have his soft skin on mine, cold and forgiving. At times I would turn my head to face him. My sleepy gaze would meet his, and in the darkness his pearl teeth would shine in a warm smile, and I would smile in return. It was always a silent exchange when I woke to one of his visits, usually ended by a wave of my hand and a fading of his loving grin. I couldn't understand why, at 14 years old, his nightly visits ceased. Upon asking my mother about this, she turned to me, gaze softened, and lips parted just enough to emit tender words. "Well," she stated softly, "as you get older, you see ghosts less and less." I'm falling. I've been falling for, I don't even know anymore. A few million years? It doesn't even matter. Time is meaningless in the infinite. There's really not much of a story to tell. I was just sitting at home, there was a pain in my chest, and I was falling. At first, I just started screaming and waited for my skull to shatter on the ground. Didn't happen. It was a few days later when I finally realized this might not be ending anytime soon. I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't do anything right, I didn't do anything, and yet I'm falling. I can see nothing but the empty blackness of whatever I'm falling down. I can hear nothing but the air whizzing past my ears. I suppose there must be air down here, wherever here is. I can smell nothing except my decaying and withered body. I can feel my skin, fractured and broken, some parts of me worn away into nothingness by the fall. I've gotten used to the pain. It's more interesting than the eternity of nothing, I suppose. Screaming? I gave that up after a century or two. No point. Not that there's much else to do. Maybe I'll die one day. Whatever awaits me there has to be better than this. Really, the only thing that actually scares me at this point is that I'm already dead.
He and his girlfriend weren't the most romantic couple. Their idea of spicing up their relationship was making out in the dark. He came over to her house late one night when her parents were out of town, and they lay down on her bed together. He turned off the bedside lamp, held her hands in his, and began kissing her gently. The thing about the darkness is that it heightens your other senses. The sound of her gentle breathing beginning to quicken, the sweet smell of perfume at the base of her neck, the taste of her lips and the salt on her skin, the feel of nails beginning to dig into his shoulders. Despite the darkness, his eyes snapped open as he realized that both her hands were still clasped firmly in his own.